Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to Goldbound, the zone-locked challenge where our rogue, Goldylocked, is exploring Azeroth one zone at a time. The rules: each zone can only be unlocked once we've earned enough gold to purchase a WoW token, and that price is dictated by the market, always changing, and usually out of reach. And this is a solo self-bound journey. No trading and no outside help. We can gather, craft, kill, and vendor within our current zones, but the auction house, that's only for selling what we earned. So far, we've escaped from Elwyn Forest, and Redridge is the latest zone on the list, but it's been rough. Last episode, even after hours of farming, we only pulled in around 28,000 gold. We've got a long way to go, so in this episode, we're dialing it in, trying to master Redridge, new targets, new loot, and maybe even revisiting some of our old favorites. So travelers, welcome back to Redridge Mountains. But first, a quick thanks to the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most complete vehicle combat game ever made, and it's available for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and now on mobile. You'll take control of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 major nations, spanning from World War I all the way to modern day. Whether you're diving into dogfights, rolling through tank battles, or commanding the seas, this game throws you straight in the action, with incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic visuals, and immersive sound. Over 95 million players have joined the fight, and now it's your turn. So head to the pinned comment or video description and sign up on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile using my links. New players and returning players who haven't logged in for at least 6 months on PC or consoles will get a massive bonus pack, but only for a limited time. The bonus pack includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account access. It's the perfect head start to dominate the battlefield. And again, it's all free. So let's go ahead and target a few of the more profitable NPCs in Redridge, the ones we haven't really dove into yet. One's tucked away in the corners, but carrying some classic loot on their tables. I'm talking about the Redridge Gnolls. There's a few variants scattered around the zone, most of which are located around the 3 corners. But for farming efficiency, we're going to be focusing on the packs around Lake Everstill. Not only do they have high density, but they also contain 2 rare spawns. More on those in a minute. But let's start with the Redridge Mongrels. These guys have a massive loot table, over 350 items. And most of these are assorted greens, some of which are Transmog targets. Now, a lot of these do share appearances with other items and aren't worth a crazy amount of gold, but there is one drop that stands out. The Gnoll War Harness is a unique Transmog, part of the classic Gnoll set, and it only drops from these guys. And the drop chance is 0.13%, according to Wowhead. And price-wise, it's holding strong. TSM puts the market value at around 4.8 thousand gold, with the 6-month average floating between 3 and 5,000 gold. A good chunk of change. And the appearance is actually pretty interesting. So if we do manage to pull 1 or 2, we might throw the extra one on Goldylocked, just for good luck and a little bit of a new appearance on him. And next up, the Redridge Thrashers. They share the same spawn locations and also have a similar loot table, with over 340 items on it. Lots of random greens which value between 40 and 500 gold. But the real prize is the Gnoll Kindred Bracers, also part of the Gnoll set. Wowhead is saying it's a 0.06% drop chance, but that's a little misleading. You see, the Bracers drop are actually restricted to leather-wearing classes only. So, a lot of kill data on Wowhead is actually from classes that can't loot them, which artificially drops the listed drop rate. Fortunately for us, rogues can loot them. So can druids, monks, and demon hunters. Now, it's worth noting that this nugget comes straight from the Wowhead notes, but it might not tell the whole story. It's possible the drop rates are just low, and what the tooltip here is really getting at is the group loot restrictions. In other words, this might be saying that only these specs can roll on this item in a group setting. So if you're not a leather wearer, I wouldn't write this off just yet. Now, their appearance isn't necessarily flashy, but they're rare and they are part of the Gnoll set, and they do command a market value of around 13,000 gold at the moment. And the historical range for these ones is between 11 and 19,000 gold. Definitely worth targeting and keeping up on the auction house. And the last Gnoll variant in these packs that we're looking at is the Redridge Brute. These guys, again, share a large loot table of random greens, which we would be happy to check out once we get them. But a single targeted item would be the Gnoll Punisher. This is another Gnoll unique thing and a unique Transmog. It's a one-handed mace, and it has the lowest listed drop rate of the 3 at 0.05%. But again, this is only lootable by one-handed melee specs. not just the class, so it can only be picked up by Prot Paladins, Fury Warriors, Prot Warriors, and Frost Death Knights. So unfortunately, it's looking like this one is off limits for Goldie, but we've seen some weird stuff happen on loot tables, with Wowhead reporting on older data, so we'll keep an eye open on the drop tables for if we get this one, just in case. And we'll be farming all 3 of these with a simple auto-target macro, paired with pistol shot, going back to our classic boar farming. This just helps us tag everything quickly while patrolling the spawn points. Now circling back to the area we're actually going to farm, right outside of Lake Everstill. And this is because on top of the gnolls, the packs here include 2 rare spawn gnolls, Rib Chaser and Snarl Flare. Now Rib Chaser didn't make it into last episode's roundup for the most profitable rares, but he still has a decent loot table. There's nothing game breaking, but some solid greens like the Bard's Tunic, which do move well as Transmog. Most of his items might move a bit quicker, but are below 500 gold. And Snarl Flare spawns just east, and drops some solid filler. We're talking things like the Green Weave Gloves, the Bard set, and the Bandit set, along with the Raider set. Most of these sell pretty frequently, but are worth 400 to 500 gold apiece. So this spot in particular gives us access to all 3 targeted gnolls, plus these 2 rare spawns. And with high mob density, it's ideal for more extended farm sessions to round out the Transmog list. We'll be working with this location throughout the week, and as we're still here in Redridge, but let's kick things off with a 1-hour farm session, see what kind of drops we can land, and whether these gnolls are ready to cough up some gold. With just over an hour of farming under our belts, the results were kind of wild. According to Loot Appraiser, this session brought in a theoretical market value of 63,405 gold. Yeah, that is by far the highest gold per hour we've hit in this entire series. Now look, it is Transmog, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Most of this stuff won't sell for the full market price, and some of it might sit in the auction house for a few weeks. But hey, a win is a win. Let's dig into the loot, starting with the targeted items. We managed to pull in 3 Gnoll War Harnesses. That's actually insane. Based on Wowhead's posted drop rates, and the fact that these might be leather-only drops, that's good luck. But we stocked up, and I'm not complaining. And the luck didn't stop there. We also pulled 2 Gnoll Kindred Bracers. I don't know if we're blessed, bugged, or just built different today, but hey, we're gonna go ahead and take it as well. Beyond those, we picked up some assorted Transmog greens and grays. We got a few pieces from the Bandit set. Nothing crazy, maybe 175 gold each, but these pieces do tend to move pretty quickly. Same story for the Willow and Soldier items, and down the road we might stop listing stuff under 50 gold, but for now, we're taking every gold that we can squeeze out of these mountains. None of these side greens really cleared the 300 gold mark, but together, they're definitely padding the tally. And we also snagged a couple of canvas set grays, which actually look pretty decent, even though they're grays. They're kind of like a lo-fi rugged appearance, and a little rustic, and they do command a surprisingly good market price, probably because they fit well into offbeat Transmog looks, and right now, with Trial of Style running, they could actually be used in a few sets. And we also got a Soldier's Cloak. This is a white item that actually kind of matches the canvas set pretty cleanly. And cloaks, they tend to sell faster than other Transmog items because they're used universally across classes. And you never know when the most random of cloaks will just perfectly fit a Transmog set. Now there are a few other grays that don't have unique appearances, but a few of them are kind of cool and worth noting, like the Fisherman's Knife. Now this might end up being part of our informal Transmog set here on Goldylocked. All in all, a massive W of a farm. And our auction house shelves are filling up, slow and steady. And even just a few of these selling anywhere close to market value, that's going to make a serious dent in our token progress. And that Fisherman's Knife, it's getting me itching for some more fishing content. So, I send Goldie on a new mission, to hunt down the weather-beaten journal from the sealed chests that spawn here in the Redridge waters. Now, we already did a deep dive on these chests in the last episode, so I won't go too far into it, but here's a quick recap. The weather-beaten journal has about an 8% drop rate from the chests, which can be fished up from the schools and the fishing pools here in Redridge. And if we can pull this journal, it's soulbound, but it grants a super useful perk. It lets you see fishing schools on the minimap, which is huge for any future fish farms that we might want to run. So the plan? Gather up 12 to 15 of these chests and then open them all at once, hopefully landing our own journal. Who knows? Maybe Nat Pagel wrote it himself. And honestly, this farm and getting these chests is not taking as long as I thought. Even though the drop rate isn't listed on Wowhead, it doesn't seem to be that low for the chests. Maybe 10 to 20%. Alright, time to crack these open. If we're even close to drop rate on the journal, we should be seeing it here. And oh man, we pull it so soon, and we still have quite a few chests to open. And honestly, I'm pretty surprised at what kind of drops we're getting out of these. The trade goods and leather, some of this we can't actually farm in our zones and has quite a good value to it. And we're actually getting quite a few greens from these chests as well. I might have been sleeping on this as a gold farm, so we're gonna have to bookmark this to come back and see if these chests could actually be a reliable way to make some more gold down the road. We need to pause the farming for just a second, because we've got some news. Patch 11.2 just dropped. Of course, the Ghosts of Koresh. And I didn't think it would impact Goldie much. Sure, it's a major content patch, but it's mostly for endgame players and a new season of Mythic Plus. Right? Wrong. Turns out this patch has some real consequences for us here in Redridge, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. So let's start with the bad news. Do you remember that little discovery that made our mining runs way more efficient? The one where we could mine ore while mounted? Well, it's gone. Completely patched. So now, when we're trying to gather while flying, we get the doomed "you are flying" notification, and no mining's allowed. We have to dismount, mine, and remount every single time. And that slows down our max efficiency ore routes by a decent margin. And I couldn't find anything in the official patch notes about this, so it was either a stealth fix, or they just considered it a long-sounding bug. But either way, it's definitely gone. Okay, now let's shift to something a little more ambiguous, but positive. The open world loot bugs. For a while now, it's been pretty well known that something weird's been going on with open world drops, especially with greens, transmog, drop tables, and world drops. But today, while running around post-patch, something big happened. We got our first world blue drop of the entire series. And what is it? The Iron Patch Blade. And this is a global world drop item, and it's technically available in a bunch of classic zones, and the drop chance from those zones is crazy low. And in Redridge, it's basically non-existent. So, either way, this is a huge W, and the market value of this item is sitting around 26,000 gold. And if we can convert it into a sale, that is a major boost towards our next zone unlock. Now, does this mean Blizzard fixed the world loot bugs? Well, it's hard to say, and again, there's nothing official in the patch notes about it. But anecdotally, I am seeing a wider variety of greens since the patch hit. A few oddball drops that I haven't seen before. So maybe, just maybe, something changed for the better. But of course, it's also possible that the patch didn't change the world drops at all. Maybe the only thing that changed was us. You see, recently we hit level 71, and with that, we unlocked hero talents for our outlaw rogue spec. And when it came time to choose between the two available paths, there was really no contest. We chose the one that fits the character, the series, and the quest. We chose Fatebound. I mean, come on, look at the name. And it gets better. The abilities are literally themed around luck, coins, and fortune. It's like it was made for Goldie. So hey, maybe it's not a bug fix. Maybe it's not the patch. Maybe it's just Fatebound doing its thing. And if that's the case, let's roll with it. A lot of people in the comments have been asking if I'm going to do a skinning farm here in Redridge. So, let's check it out. Unlike Elwyn, the beasts in Redridge are fewer and farther between. A good chunk of them can't even be skinned. We're talking about the condors and the spiders. For these guys, you kill them, but you can't skin them. However, we do have great gore tusks. These guys are really spread out. There isn't a single spot with a solid hyperspawn, so while we still have skinning trained, we can take a few of them as we move through the zone. But there's nothing here worth planting ourselves down for hours and just farming. On the plus side, they do drop the old rough leather scraps and light leather, but now it does give us access to light hide. So we do have new materials if we eventually pick up a crafting recipe that use them. Then, in Redridge, there are Redridge foxes. A bit like the boars, but even more scarce and more scattered through the zone. Still, they do offer access to medium hide, which is a nice upgrade and another future reagent unlocked. And tucked away in the northeast corner of the zone, we do have forest stalkers. These are essentially the same as the foxes, low density and a wide spread, and they also drop medium leather. It's not really farmable in bulk, but they'll come in handy if we need medium leather down the road. So there's no real skinning farms here, just access to new reagents in case we need them. And on the topic of crafting, we haven't been doing too much here in Redridge, and that's because the only production profession trainers available to us are back in Elwyn, and they cap out at level 75 recipes, which we've pretty much all explored. Now the real gold from professions will come from the trainers in the zones that we unlock, because trainers in these zones will unlock recipes all the way up to 300 skill, and with that will come a massive gold potential once we find them. Now Redridge does have a new profession trainer of Alma Jane Rose, but she's an herbalism trainer, and herbalism doesn't get us any new recipes for crafting. However, as luck would have it, we did pick up a new recipe from one of our Redridge drops, a tailoring recipe. And based on the tooltip, it looks like we might be able to craft it using items we've already farmed in the zone. So here's the plan. Let's head back to Elwyn, unlearn skinning, and pick up tailoring. Luckily, we've been stockpiling cloth in the bank for just this kind of occasion. It doesn't sell for much raw, so we've been holding on to it for something more valuable, or until we need to restock the shelves with shirts and linen cloth. And the recipe in question is the heavy woolen cloak. And we'll need 100 tailoring to make it. And while we level up, we may as well recraft and restock any shirts and any cloth transmogs that have recently sold out. For this, we're just using TSM to check which ones we're out of, and what's profitable, and just batch it all as we climb. But really, it's kind of just 2 or 3 of each one all the way up. And this pretty much gets our skill up to 75, which is just enough to craft bolt of woolen cloth. And that's where we can just craft these all the way to 100 skill, unlock the recipe that we've been waiting for, the heavy woolen cloak. Now luckily for us, Redridge isn't completely without crafting civilization, and our friendly tradeswoman here sells fine thread. This was something we didn't have in Elwyn, but that we'll need for the heavy woolen cloak. To craft each cloak, we do need 3 bolts of wool, 2 fine thread, and 2 small lustrous pearls. And here's the good news. We already know exactly where to find those pearls. In fact, we still have a few stacks of clams sitting in the bank from a few earlier runs. So I grabbed them and we can crack them open to see what we'll find. Hopefully a few pearls. Just enough for a few crafts. We might want to head back and farm a few more murlocs, just to stockpile these cloaks before we run out and unlearn tailoring. But even if we only craft a few of these cloaks, that's another 1 to 2k gold per cloak to keep posted on the auction house. And another gold trickle added to the pipeline. And last episode, we talked about the zones connected to Redridge available for unlock once we finally get our hands on another WoW token. And a few folks in the comments mentioned that the Swamp of Sorrows might not actually be accessible from Redridge. So I decided to hop over on Pathalerix for some scouting, just to make sure. And from what I can tell, the Redridge Pass does in fact lead straight into the northeastern corner of the swamp. It's not the most mainstream of connections, but it's a connection nonetheless that heads right into Redridge on an intended pathway. So for now, we'll keep Swamp of Sorrows on the table. And as for Blackrock Mountain within the Burning Steppes, that one sparked a bit of a debate in the comments, and I get it. The consensus seemed to be that Blackrock Mountain is squarely located within Burning Steppes, and honestly, I kind of agree. The Searing Gorge entrance is a little bit more of a back door into the Blackrock Mountain. That being said, Blackwing Descent isn't really inside of the mountain, it's kind of straddling the edge, and it's nestled closer to the Searing Gorge border. And since Blackwing Lair actually appears on the in-game map of both zones, we're going to make the call to leave Blackwing Lair off limits until both zones are unlocked, with the rest of the mountain being unlocked with Burning Steppes only. So until then, everything else in Blackrock Mountain, quests, rares, instances will be considered part of Burning Steppes, if we're ever to unlock it. Alright, and there's been a lot of farming this week, so you know what that means. Mailbox time, and a /played check. And remember, play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile devices now by using my links in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players on PC and consoles who haven't played in the last 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms. Now this time, we've gone ahead and blocked out the total gold, just to build a little suspense. And in the first 100 mails, it's mostly the usual. Basic trade goods trickling out, padding the gold pile. But here's our first notable sale, another Tarantula Silk Sash. We're letting a few of these go at lower prices just to keep the gold moving, and selling a few later on at higher prices hopefully. Then, we also sold a pair of our Kindred Knoll Bracers from this week's farm, And we even moved a couple of frayed knots back from Elwyn. And the rest? Some more trade goods and lower ticket mogs, and of course, let's open these up and listen to that classic mailbox sound for the first 100 mails. And while not quite 100k, we still have a few auctions left, which contains a healthy stack of copper bars and quite a few glyphs, so it should put us over. And there it is, 22.7k for the week, bringing us to a new total of 104.5k. We've officially crossed the 100k mark, and the next zone is getting closer. As for the slash played, just over 8 days, 17 hours, with more than a full day played at level 71 alone. So until next time, go with honor, friend.